Recently, I was taking a look at a post by a YouTuber who I follow. This is a guy who's about my age, and he was talking about how he got laid off, and soon after he got laid off, his dad, who raised him as a single parent, passes away. And instead of trying to get back on the wagon and carry on with things, he decides something needs to change, so him and his wife sell everything they've got up and start traveling around Southeast Asia. And as impressive as that story is, what really stuck with me in this post was when he said, "What would my dad think about all of this?" And that really made me stop and think, because as someone else who was raised by a single parent who's no longer with us anymore, I often ask myself, am I doing something because I truly want to do it, or am I doing it because of my parents' expectations? More specifically, the expectations of parents who aren't even here anymore. To give you a little bit of background, which might explain a little bit as to why this whole topic sort of bothers me every now and then. I was raised in a single parent household by my mother. I was born in the UK actually. My mother's English, well, my mother was English, and my dad's a Kiwi. So I guess that makes me some sort of evil half-breed or something. But anyway, my parents split up shortly after I was born actually, and I didn't actually meet my father until I was 10 years old, just after my 10th birthday, because about a year or so before that, my dad started putting the wheels in motion for me and my mum to come and move over to New Zealand. And my mum thought that was a really good idea. She saw better opportunities over in New Zealand for me and decided to make the move. At that point, my dad had already been remarried and already had a few other kids, so I've got half brothers and sisters as well. So again, it was just me and my mum, this time in a completely different country, which was New Zealand. And now that I'm a bit older and of course my mum's passed on, I do find myself from time to time thinking about, as he would, all those sacrifices she made. I didn't really realize it until I read that YouTuber's post recently that maybe since she's passed on, I've sort of created these expectations that she may or may not have had for me in my own head. Until now, I didn't really question those expectations. I just always thought in the back of my mind that whatever I do, it always has to be somehow honoring my mum or making sure that I'm following her expectations. But you know what? I don't know what her specific expectations were. I mean, she's been gone 9 years now. Nevertheless, I still find myself sort of blindly following these expectations, always asking myself, what would my mum do? Would she be happy with this? What would she think of me if I did this or said that? It's weird, right? And I'm just curious to know if anybody else feels like that, especially if you've got parents who've passed away, that is. A really specific example of this is how my decision to come back to New Zealand after spending almost 20 years living in Japan. And I've already mentioned in other videos that after about 4 years or so, maybe it's a little bit of reverse culture shock, maybe it's a bit of wanderlust. I really love experiencing new cultures and that kind of thing. But my wife and I kind of feel like maybe New Zealand's not the right long-term place for us. And what often weighs on my mind is, what would my mum think about this? Especially when I consider all of those sacrifices she made when I was young to bring me to New Zealand in the first place. I feel like if I decide to leave New Zealand, I'm somehow betraying her. But now I'm looking at it from a different perspective. I still think about all those sacrifices and hard decisions my mum made throughout my lifetime, and I don't dismiss them at all. What I've come to realize now is that my mum didn't make all those sacrifices so that I could live in a specific way in a specific place. She made all those sacrifices and decisions so that I could live in a way that makes me happy. Coming at it from that perspective does take quite a load off mentally. If there's one thing that traveling around taught me for several years, was that I'm actually quite similar to my mum. My mum also liked traveling when she was younger as well. And I'm pretty sure that she would not just understand my decision to, in the next few years, move away from New Zealand again, but also that she'd be quite happy for me to do it. I'm pretty sure that most people's parents don't want them to be stuck in one place, don't want them to do things just out of some kind of sense of obligation, especially when they're no longer here. Your parents just want you to be happy. And that's actually exactly what I said to this YouTuber in question when I replied to him. I'd be interested to know how others feel about this. Do you feel like you're living your life out of some sort of obligation to your parents? Whether they're still here or not? And if so, how are you dealing with that? And what do you think of this conclusion that I've come to, that essentially your life is for yourself, and ultimately your parents just want you to be happy. Love to hear your thoughts. Why not drop them in the comments? Anyway, thanks for watching.